Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Digital Agency Hacker. You've heard of SEMrush, and today we're sitting with the Chief Strategy Officer, and I'm super pumped to be diving into a conversation with him around what's happening, how they scale, how we should be scaling, and overall, how to create business success. Let's dive right in. All right,
That's it.
Eugene, how's things going, bro?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you.
Doing good. Awesome, man. Awesome. Dude, I'm super excited about this chat because it hits home for me. I mean, you over there at SEMrush, we were just talking, going from 100 team members all the way up to 1,000 team members. You guys are growing and scaling. You would work with agencies and customers all around the world. You have global offices, crazy, crazy cool stuff. And so I'm excited to talk about that experience and even some ideas that are coming down the route and you guys are kind of a part of, especially with your certifications and your toolkit. But I want to back up a little bit, bro. So you're currently the Chief Strategy Officer, right? SEMrush. What led you to that? Where were you at before SEMrush?
So before that, I used to be partner in a couple different VC firms. The most recent one is a firm called Target Global. So there we focused on kind of late stage, growth stage, pre-IPO companies. But yeah, I mean, I left it 5 years ago. So right now, they have totally different kind of portfolio than comparing to the time when I was there. But in general, I've invested in everything from like seed stage to pre-IPO, small checks, big checks, and that's kind of how I discovered SEMrush, because I was using it myself as a tool for due diligence and market research. And at some point, we started looking at software as a service companies to invest in, and I used this product myself. So I in general just started talking to people, which to people who run products that I use. So SEMrush was one of those products. I reached out to Oleg and Dmitry, spent some time with them looking at metrics, and I just kind of very quickly understood that this is probably one of the best companies in terms of combination of growth and profitability that I've ever seen. I mean, that was 5 years ago. So yeah, I was pretty excited and decided to join the company.
That's awesome, man. So you were a user, you were using the product beforehand for actually engaging investments, which is kind of interesting. And then you came over and now you've grown, y'all have 5x, over the course. So for those that don't know, what are some of the core things you guys focus on?
So I think historically we are very well known for our products in competitive intelligence area, especially products for search engine marketing, which is SEO and search engine advertising, competitive intelligence. But really, product is way, way broader than this. So right now, we added a lot of products for digital PR, for more general traffic analytics and competitive intelligence, and for social media as well. So right now, we think about this as an online visibility management platform. And the idea is that your customers, they spend time everywhere, right? So in the morning, they maybe start with social media, and then later during the day, they may be Googling something or searching for something. Maybe they read blogs, maybe they read digital media, but your brand should be visible in all those places. You cannot think about your marketing as kind of based on only channels, because your customers, they don't think about interactions with you in terms of channels. So you ultimately need to spend money where your customers spend time, which is everywhere. Mm-hmm. So you need to be improving your visibility in all channels to maximize the output. And that's kind of idea that we discovered ourselves when we were, doing our own marketing. There are a lot of synergies between different channels that are not necessarily super obvious. But ultimately, if people see you more frequently, then they interact with everything you do with better engagement. So ultimately, you just have to be visible in all different channels where people spend time. And that's core idea behind our current product direction, which is, again, building products that will help brands to be visible in all sort of digital channels.
Yeah. And agencies is a core focus of that. You guys help a lot of brands, but you're also really focused on the agency world. I was noticing, I mean, I'd love to give your opinion on this. I was noticing a while ago that you guys have a new certification, right? Like certification of digital marketing agencies. This has been a hit topic for me lately. I've actually done several appearances where we talked about the legalization of the agency world over the next 5 years. I think my prediction is that it's going to start getting regulated. You can't, it's the only industry in the world where you give money expecting a return and has zero regulation. In fact, we call it, what do we call marketing? We call it an investment, right? Yep. How do you guys see that? Is that kind of part of the goal here with the certification, is kind of almost eventually regulating that type of thing? Or how's it been going? I know Google's worked on this. Digital marketers worked on this. Tons of different people have, but what's your thoughts?
So I think there are two parts. So when it comes to agencies, I think that for us, agencies is extremely important part of the market, and they have been around since forever, and they're going to stay. The only question is like what functions agencies are going to do versus what functions in-house teams are going to do. And for us, our goal is to help agencies navigate the changing environment. So, and I think the environment is going to be that agencies are going to be more of a domain experts, where they know how to run campaigns, they know how to, let's say, create content efficiently, distribute this content. Maybe they have specialization in specific verticals, but ultimately companies, like their clients, will have to start owning a little bit more of a direction in terms of strategy and product know-how and market know-how. Because I think when buyer is not willing to own the result and spend enough time with an agency explaining what needs to be done, how things work in their space, that's ultimately when we see sometimes them being disappointed. And I think that's sort of dynamics needs to change. And then on the other hand, there are agencies sometimes that say we know everything, we are the best in, and usually agencies are the best in the channel experience. They're subject matter experts, but they don't always know product as well as their clients. So that's what we are trying to kind of educate people, that first there have to be sophisticated buyer, and then they have to be honest seller, and that's what's best for the industry. And that's kind of how we think about Academy. So our materials should be not just about how to use the product, which is an important part, but also about what it means to have healthy relationship, what is the right way to sell services, because yet again, you want to manage expectations, you don't want to oversell, you want to look credible, right? So that's where we are focusing in terms of educational materials for agencies. But if you think about Academy in a broader way, I would say for agencies, one of the goals that we have is to help agencies quickly onboard new people. Because one of the issues we're hearing a lot is that in agencies, sometimes you have a lot of kind of turnover. So you hire someone and then this person maybe leaves the company within first year or year and a half, and you need to replace this person. So the goal for us is to help onboard new marketers, train them fast to use tools, train them fast to become better versions of themselves and be the best marketer for to provide the service for a client. So that's the second part of academy in the agency scope.
Interesting. And I would even, you mentioned two roles there. You mentioned the in-house and you mentioned the agency. I would even add technology there because I think, Google, I was on a call with a couple of their execs the other day, and I mean, their goal is to make that sucker automated, to a T, where the agency is irrelevant, and they want to see the agency really putting these different things together, and kind of using the data on the back end and doing automation and things like that. How do you feel like that's going to happen? Of course, they've been, they've had, Google has had the accelerated, version on this for a while now, but do you think it's going to get there where they're pretty much one and the same, that the engineer's not even needed?
Yeah, I'm kind of team humans, so I don't think that everything can be automated, that AI will sort of destroy everything. So if you think about areas where AI is good at, that would be things like automated bidding, right? So things that people actually don't want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I would say, quality of creative campaign, I think, maybe you can make AI that can write 2 sentences of a high quality. They're still not going to be better than what human will write. I mean, just two sentences, and then the question will be who takes responsibility. So until machine once it can take a responsibility, there is still a benefit in having human in the loop. And as I said, I don't expect machines to create something of a higher quality, especially if we're talking about like creatives, campaign creatives. And then there are a lot of things that machine cannot do at all, like let's say discuss positioning with the customer, right? What this campaign should be about, who are we targeting? Machine can give recommendations based on large volumes of data, which is yet again not something that humans are good at and like to do, right? But I think there is in marketing, I don't see how you can remove humans from the loop. So as I said, I'm team humans, but
I'm with you. We're on the same page. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I like it. It's I think there's going to become a point where it's getting more and more popular, right? Like that certain businesses who don't want to invest, maybe they're just barely getting in, they'll choose that version over another one. But I think most people will. I think there's always going to be a hand up, on the human touch, as you said. I like that. Very interesting. Are you guys seeing? I want to talk about product just for a second, then we can skip over. But one of the things that we've been looking at, and you guys would have an interesting perspective because of how much data you guys are looking across thousands and thousands of accounts, right? How are you guys seeing Facebook as it's getting, it seems like it's getting a little bit more tight, right? In terms of like, accounts getting disabled and the support and, how do you feel, Google was crushing it, SEO crushing it, Facebook then just like took off over the last few years. And then now I see it plateauing. My prediction is it starts actually fading a little bit more and more as it gets more and more difficult to target. But what are you guys seeing in terms of the ability to grow and scale an agency that's focused on Facebook lead gen? And I'll even add in the two different caveats there of lead gen versus a branding, because they're obviously two different, approaches there.
Yeah, my view is don't build agency that relies only on one thing. There are bigger things at play that you just don't want to be sort of collateral damage. So that's something that could happen if you focus, let's say, only on retargeting, for example. So retargeting is one of the things that potentially is going to be collateral damage. Now, like it's good that there are very few agencies that focus only on retargeting. Like usually it's a broader umbrella of pay-per-click advertising, right? But this is just an example why it's not always a good idea to focus only on one thing. Now, you don't necessarily want to go too broad, but having at least 2-3 products you can offer really good for business. So you have one product that is sort of entry product to get someone on the hook, and then you do upsell, and then you have diversification. So you have much more stable business. You can hire more full-time employees, better facilitate their time. So I see only benefits from doing a couple of things simultaneously. In terms of Facebook specifically, yeah, we've seen less results. We see this part being more saturated, more exposed to the risks, especially comparing to search ads. So search ads, contextual, they don't rely on any personal information for targeting or even broader audience targeting. So much safer space. Now probably still a little bit more saturated, but then even if I think about this, if I had a choice between, like, if I want to manage only Facebook or only Google's ecosystem, then I choose Google, because even if search ads are saturated, there is YouTube, which is awesome. A lot of, by the way, one thing that you mentioned, especially if I'm thinking about brand, right? So for brand, Google ecosystem right now just looks much more compelling in general. So those are kind of my 2 cents. I think you don't want to pick sides. You want to do a little bit of, everything. Maybe you're a specialist in one, but still, try to cross sell the second one. And don't put all the eggs in one basket.
You're already tipping into kind of my last question that I want to discuss, right? So you kind of have this from both angles. You're watching agencies and brand scale and grow and all this good stuff, but also you're a part of SEMrush's, growth and scalability, right? And so you see it in two folds. One thing you mentioned there was, okay, you want to have a service or a product that's specific, but you also don't want to be so specific that, one thing and you're done, right? That one product. These are all to help navigate risk as we're scaling and growing, right? But what are some of the other things that you see, and they can be general to business, but as I'm looking at you in the past as an investor, you now at SEMrush, what are things that you're looking at that are key indicators of going, okay, this company is going to have the ability to scale, they're going to be more secure or more safe? What are maybe 2 or 3 things that this is what I'm looking for to make sure that we're on the right track?
Great question. I think there is no universal recipe for different businesses. Would be different. For example, but I would say order could be different, but 3 crucial things would be more or less the same. So they would be product, right? So, and then by product you can mean many different things, but the way I think is usually something that solves the problem for a particular target audience at the price that this particular target audience is willing to pay. So that's kind of my definition of kind of product and product market fit. Then the second thing is ability to generate demand. I think this one is frequently undervalued. People think demand gen is like easy thing to do if you have a good product. not at all. I think marketers don't get even remotely enough credit for their work. I've seen a lot of really awesome products that had 0 traction because they had no marketers whatsoever. I'm still remembering like all those beautifully designed single page applications that never rank organically for anything. And people like scratching their heads, and they like, well, I don't know, let's say booking.com is ranking very well for all those keywords and my single page application does not. And you're like, yeah, exactly, because it's a single page application. So I think, understanding how to do demand generation and building product for the purpose of generating demand is extremely important, or at least having a consideration for demand generation needs. And then the third one is that one comes a little bit later at scale, called brand. So you start getting value of the brand a little bit later in a company life cycle, but it's important to do a lot of things from day one to build this brand. And brand is usually not just not just a logo or a good name. It's more about what are our values, how do we communicate them, what is the big thing that we are doing here. And that helps in many, yet again, helps to streamline communication with customers, but at the same time, even helps to get good talent, because people want to understand what your company stands for. So best people you can hire, they will ask all those questions like, why am I here? Why we are doing this? So those are, I think, a big three. But yet again, order will be different for Apple right now. I think brand is number one. I mean, product is good. I mean, I have an iPhone, but I also had a couple of Chinese phones. They are awesome, like in terms of hardware, great phones, but like, most people never heard about them. So I think it really depends on the stage of the company, but product, demand generation, and brand are big three. And yet again, I think I could talk about culture and leadership and everything. I think ultimately the goal is to build something that works only with this three, because you see, for example, problem with I don't know, Tesla or SpaceX. What happens if Elon Musk disappears for whatever? I don't know. He flies on a rocket to moon and never returns. I wish that never happens, but what's going to happen with his companies, right? And I think that's a problem. So you want to have something that works with those three things, and that's enough. But those are just my 2 cents. And I think
I
you've
like
asked
that.
about commercial success. I think those three things drive most of the commercial success.
Interesting. I like that. And I think especially as our brand has been built around my name, for the most part, right? But as we get to 1,000 team members, as we get to 3,000, it can't survive off of that, because now I'm talking to very few members of our team. Now the scalability is not there, right? And as you mentioned, the risk, I could die tomorrow and say la vie, right? And so I like that, man. Product, demand generation, and brand. Very cool, man. Very cool. Last thing, real quick, talk to me about you guys' new toolkit, your new toolkit that you guys have released. What's the goal there? What's the target audience? And most of our listeners are digital agency owners, so this is right up their alley. Tell us about it real quick.
Yeah. So yet again, have a product that used by many different marketers. We thought what we can do to make it even better for agencies. So we decided to launch Agency Growth Kit. And yet again, the approach is not just to bundle all the features that we have for agencies in one place, which we did, but also we wanted to help them to start generating more customers, to build better relationship with those customers, and allow them to do all this stuff in one place. So that's why we have things like partner directory, where agencies can post their listings. So our in-house customers, when they need help from an agency, can find certified agency to help them. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of features for collaboration, like task management, client portal, and so on. So the idea is that you can manage relationship with your client within SEMrush in one place, and assign tasks to your colleagues, and then send reports, and yet again, all from one window for a particular client.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Eugene, if somebody wanted to connect with you, where's the best way to do it? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram?
LinkedIn.
Are you on TikTok,
yeah.
Eugene?
Yeah,
LinkedIn. All right, bro.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. We'll send some people your way. Dude, I appreciate your time and willingness to jump on. I think everyone here probably has heard of you guys, and so it's nice to see some of the guys on top. And I'm excited for what you've done and what you guys have created. So it's awesome stuff, man. Anything we can do for you in the future, let us know, man. But it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
All right, brother. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.